Okay, you guys, what is up? The King of Lightning is here today to do Hunter x Hunter 2011 episode 135 review. Now, of course, the episode link is going to be in the description box down below on Crunchyroll.com. Now, to get this off my chest off the gate, Togashi Yoshihiro is one of the best. I don't see how he's not. Togashi Yoshihiro is one of the best, easy. To me, it's as obvious as the sky blue and the grass green. These final moments between Komugi and Meruem were amazing. They were awe-inspiring. They were breathtaking. They were tear-jerking. They were captivating. You name it. And I love how Togashi put a lot of these hints within the moments themselves. And yet the moments themselves never lost the impact that they had on your emotion. Like, you would stare at the screen and you were just like, you were at least, whoa, oh, damn, you name it, whatever reaction you had a reaction. And what I think is very important is knowing that this is a transition when it comes to Meruem. This is a transition of character that is phenomenal. The growth, again, we always go back to the accelerated growth of the Chimera Ants. And where he starts off and where he ends off, you would never have seen that coming. You would never have seen that coming. You're not Notre Dame. You're not that good. Now, I do want to talk about the last scene first before I go to the other scenes, because there are two of the main scenes here that comprise with Meruem and Palm, and then there are a few scenes that we see that take place in the future when the Hunter Association, they come in there. We actually get a scene from the real Diego, and then we have a few scenes here with Beans and basically Chairman Otero having a will or message already set, and him explaining how he's retiring and how to elect a new chairman and so on and so forth. So, first of all, the ending scene. Again, best scene, one of the best, if not the best scene in the entirety of the arc. First of all, I do want to talk about the game itself, the Gungi, because the hints within the game tie into what's going on with the characters themselves, Komugi and Meruem. And one of the key things I want to point out is the end one, where the end one, we have Meruem, he just lost a match. They're going to restart a new match, and they start off and end off with only two moves. The first thing Meruem does is that he moves his martial, or I think, because the martial also means king as well. So, because it depends what translation you're looking at. So you have martial move to 951, and then Komugi, she counters with her martial, and that moves to 151. So you have the two kings being the first ones to move on the Gungi board opposite of each other, symbolic of Meruem and Komugi. And after that, he pretty much is tired, takes a nap, and that's it. So within the game itself, that was the first and last move, the movement of two kings. And then when we go back into the episode, there's a scene where you have the martial piece and the spy piece, and they're moving together in unison towards the sky, or they're going up. And what's very important about that scene is that if the black martial is symbolic of Meruem, and the spy, which is also known as Shinobi, is, if you would, the poison. It is the poison that he had taken in by Chairman Otero's explosion that was going to kill him. And Komugi utilized the spy throughout her initial match with the king in this episode. and how it was a means of counteracting and then another counteraction of the king's movements. Because I think it was the Kokori, wherein which it's the isolation of the marshal. So in that sense, it's very important to keep in mind that Meruem is the king piece. And then you have Komugi, who is pretty much trying to find ways to counteract the king piece by not, because I believe the Kokori is like a suicidal move for the king, something like that. So basically, what goes on the Gungi board is symbolic of what is going on in real time with Meruem and Komugi. Now the specifics escape me because I remember this being talked about when this happened in the manga, but I forgot the specifics of that. Because someone sent me a PM, I didn't read it because I didn't want to actually have my opinion altered. But I remember that there was more of a specific, like, tie-in with the actual movements of what they were doing. I think it was God of Wars, something, sent me a PM. I need to go back and I'll do that later, another day. But what's also very important is the end scene where he passes away, or he takes a nap, quote unquote, and she will follow in suit. And remember that Meruem's name means a light that illuminates all. And when you have Meruem at the final scenes after the credits, which by the way, the credits themselves very nice, with the memory bubbles of Komugi and Meruem, and then to this final moment, and how you have this almost pitch black scene. And the only light that you see are like the few little N particles that reside around the area. And the entire time during their match, you have the king. He's asking Komugi, "Are you there? Komugi, are you there?" I remember that this, I believe it was in the manga, or at least people were talking about it in the sense of the manga, that this was symbolic, or this was telling the viewers that Meruem had just lost his vision. He couldn't see anymore, which is why he was always asking Komugi, "Are you there? Komugi, are you there?" Making sure that she was still near him. And the end scene, I think, is symbolic in two ways. Because not only do you have the end particle finally reach the hand of Komugi, but Komugi herself is feeling his face and his hand. Something that a blind person would do in order to try and get a mental image of the person that they're talking to. So, not only is it the last time, in the sense of Meruem's end particle, that he's seeing Komugi, but it's the first time that she's seeing him, because she's never had the opportunity to feel him in that way, to like touch his face and touch his body, touch his arm, to finally get a mental image of the person that she's been playing with this entire time. So the point here is, I like that. That was very touching. Again, Meruem, the light that illuminates all. And that final, the way it ends off the episode is just this vibrant white light. And you have Komugi saying, "I'll be there soon." And you can see the blood. You can see that she's clearly suffering the effects of the poison by being near him. But she's not going anywhere. Because the happiest moments that she has experienced are with the king. Remember how early on in the arc, she explained how, for her, Gungi was a means of survival. It was something that she did to feed her family. And if she lost, then she'd be pretty much useless. Her very existence tied in to Gungi, the game itself. And how, because of that reason, her family simply needed her to survive. They needed her to get the food on the plate. But if she failed, she'd be useless to them. And she would always put her life on the line whenever it came to games of Gungi. But no one has motivated her, has cared for her, has pushed her like the king has. The king is the closest thing she has to No, the king is her friend. If you would, in this sense, the king is her lover. And Meruem, for the first time, is experiencing this rapture that is love. It's very obvious. This romance. Alright, it's not like other series that have different variants of romance. This is romance at its core. The fact that Meruem, when he's listening to her, how she was, in a sense, she was born for this moment. And how, when he reveals that this poison is contagious, you can see that the initial reaction on her face, I'm poisoned and I'm gonna die soon. And she looks shocked. And then he says, but this poison is contagious. She smiles, she lights up, and she begins to play again. She has accepted the fact that she is going to die with the king, and she couldn't be happier. And then, right there, the moment she puts down her counter to the king's counter, the piece lights up. And again, symbolically, the darkness that was starts to ripple away, and then there's this giant beacon of light when she puts down that piece. So there's so many things going on there, man. There's so many fucking things, and every time something happens, like fucking Togashi, this dude is phenomenal. He's phenomenal. The romance that he built, that not only is fantastic in of itself, but it transcends, and it is an embodiment of humanity and the Chimera Ants, and it is just beautiful at its core. I love it, man. Fucking goddamn love it. Love it. Love it. One of the best, if not the best scene in the entire arc. Arguably in shonen. I don't give a damn what anyone says. That's what I'm telling you. Togashi is one of the best. Easy. Easy. Man. Woo! Like honestly, like, I'm not trying to belittle the other authors of shonen, but very rarely, if ever, do you get this level of depth in romance from the other shonen authors. Just saying. Wow. That's... So, I mean, to lightly touch upon the other scenes, basically, Palm, she's using her eye ability to watch the final moments between Komugi and Meruem. And that scene, we actually find out that this really did hurt Palm in the sense that she's also part Chimera. And she knows the gravity of the king's existence to their species. So, the fact that the king was willing to bow in front of her to find where Komugi was something unacceptable for their species as a whole. Because he is the pinnacle of what they're supposed to be. And here he is bowing. No. Not supposed to happen. So she said, no, don't even start it. I'll tell you where she is. Stop. So, again, Palm would rather be tortured than experience that level of shame, if you would. And then we have Meruem in that speech with Palm talk actually about how the change that he experienced was something minor, which goes back to what was said via Chairman Netero. How Chairman Netero stated that Meruem was on the precipice of humanity and Chimera Ant. He could go any way he wanted to. But it was the change that he experienced when Wilfin stated the name Komugi. That was the change. That was it. That was a spark. So, again, wonderful. Loved it. That was a very nice scene. That scene by itself was fantastic with Meruem and Palm. But, again, all the scenes here get completely overshadowed. They get completely snuffed by the fact that the scene between Komugi and Meruem was outstanding. To say the least, it was a masterpiece. And then you have the scene where, well, a few scenes here and there where pretty much Chimera has his farewell message to the world, how he's resigning, his will. Problem is that gets overshadowed by the other events that's going on with the NGL, with the East Gorturo Kingdom, how they stage it as Diego being the one who actually wanted people. He basically, it was supposed to be like this mass suicide thing going on. That's the way the news had it laid out. But the thing here is that there's the real Diego still lives, and he had his own quote, which I forgot. It's a shame because it was a quote pertaining to humanity and how humanity. I remember it was like we live too long to focus solely on reproduction, but we don't live long enough to gain or attain the knowledge of the helix of time, stuff like that, okay? And it ends off with drinking, poetry, just simple stuff, very simple stuff. I guess in a sense that quote was simply put, embrace life's simplicity, if you would. And we see the real Diego on a farm with some dog, apparently in like his 30th year of retirement, something like that. And so that means that the Diego that we saw, the Diego who was running the East Gorturo Kingdom, was actually a front man. He was just some guy that they put in there to still emulate Diego, as if Diego was still running the show. And then there's a scene pretty much where we have Beans, and Beans sad that Chimera has gone away, and basically they're waiting on Palm for Palm to give them the news that the king has passed away. We actually get to see a scene of Poof. At the beginning of the episode, Poof, he starts off the episode dead. Like, oh. So, and he's on the ground, blood everywhere. So, and the Hunter Association, they come in there to the palace area after everything is said and done. And they're not going to go down to where the king is, because they're not going to risk it, obviously. So, they wait until the king is dead, and they hear word from Palm. So, overall, the episode, I think it's a yo. I think it's an easy yo. I think it's a very, very, very easy yo. Because the ending scenes are something on a whole new level that you don't see in shonen, that you rarely see in. I mean, maybe if you were going back to like Fist of the North Star, maybe you get some shit like that. But modern day shonen, highly doubt it. At least the ones I read, and maybe I should broaden my horizons. But hey, just say it. All right, like if you want to go and find something along those lines, then yeah, like go back like Fist of the North Star, stuff like that. Okay, fine, yeah. But even still, this outbeats that, in my personal opinion, because it's so deep, man. It's deep. It's really, really deep. This romance. And how it transcends these two individuals who they themselves are, if you would, tied together by this simple board game. So, I fucking love it. I love it. And I'm done. Because I could try and go deeper. And they're probably, again, the specifics of the moves that they did during the Komugi games, that has meaning too, but it escapes me. So, I'll probably read the PM that was sent by Gods of War. I forgot his PM, his username, but I'll read that, and then if I think it's worth it, I'll do a separate video about that. So, yeah, I'll do something like that. But I'm done. Overall, King of Lightning. Rate the video. Comment, subscribe. And I will see you guys later. The episode rating is yo. Have a nice day.